Hi guys, and welcome back to Majestic Loons. My name is Greg, and I am here with Thy 3G for a conversation about something that I think really needs to be talked about. Are we Heath in or are we Heath out? But first of all, how are you? How's it going?
I'm good. I'm still trying to recover from that Colorado loss, but how are
Oh,
you?
I mean, it's a Minnesota sports team. What can you say? I mean, it's a signature Minnesota sports team going up and then just, bottling it. And um, I mean, that's really how it is. So do you want to go out? Do you want to start with, I think we need to go why Heath needs to go. I think that needs to go first, and I'll try my best with how to say, oh, we should keep Heath.
All right. So basically, everyone I know is Heath Out. And I was like Heath in like last year at the start of the season. I was like, all right, let's get some players in, let's see what's going on. But right now, I'm personally Heath Out, and here's why: is because I think Heath just does not change. Everybody knows what we're gonna do, right? My first beef with Heath is he plays for a draw. If we're going on the road, instead of being like, all right, let's pick up these 3 points, he's playing for a draw and we end up losing the game.
Case in point, you have something like what was that one? Was it a few games back? You look at that one, we almost played for a draw. Forget which one. I think it was the one before Austin. I don't know which one that was, but yeah, no, definitely. I think we played. I mean, that's definitely a good reason.
And then he has made some questionable decisions. Basically, I was not a fan of him playing Hassani Dotson at left wing, or not left wing, sorry, left mid at the start of the season. I know we lost Kevin Molino, he left, but I think that's just not his position. That's just not what he's used to. I think Hassani Dotson is a good player, but he just couldn't utilize his talents there. And we saw the first game, okay, it didn't work, right? But instead of, let's switch it up, maybe a formation change until we get somebody, there or whatever. He just kept it the same and kept Dotson there. And I really think that contributed to our slow start. Also, speaking on the slow start, I remember I believe this is true, Heath came out and kind of blamed St. Clair for some of our losses.
Yeah, no, that's kind of not a good. I mean, that's kind of a Jose Mourinho type thing to throw. You don't want to throw a good young player with a lot of good potential really under the bus. So that's a that's a fair one.
Yeah, and then basically the red card situation. Now I was at the Colorado game, right? I was there having a great time. We're up 1-0. It looks like we're gonna win, right? We get the red card, or they get the red card. Oh my God, this is a great opportunity. Let's go score another one. Nada. We ended up losing 3-1, which was just so frustrating. I think that I don't know what. Like a lot of people could say, oh, we're not finishing, but ultimately when it's been 3 games, when we've taken 2 out of 9 points when we are up a man, I think that falls on the manager, on the coach. I don't think that's a player
thing. Yeah, no, it's really, I think, yeah, to elaborate, to do that, I think, yeah, it's really on the manager because, the players can do, I mean, it's ultimately the manager with the ideas and sidelines trying to push up, but instead I think Heath kind of wanted to be like, okay, let's try to, see this one out. And ultimately, it failed. And, I remember going to that game. And I mean, for my games, I have to drive all the way from like 3.5, 4 hours for every game. And I was like, I'll admit, I was like, I said this, I didn't even want to do like a match reaction to it, because I was just so pissed off about it. Because I'm like, this is the third time this season that this has happened. And it's almost like, oh, it's like I'm joking around. It's like, oh, if teams want to beat us, go a man down. It's easy. So,
All right, I got one last point, and this is something my dad actually brings up a lot because he's not a big Heath guy. He actually wants Kendra, our announcer, to be the coach. He always says Kendra for coach, which it's because every time we do something wrong, Kendra's like, we need to do this. My dad's like, yes, I agree. But basically, Heath, once we go up a goal, ultra defensive he becomes. He has the players, we're not taking chances. And really what I think when I think of that, I think of the Western Conference final last year, which was still just so painful. I just being up 2-0 and going into like the 70th minute, then we concede. I think we've seen that, if our players are tired, he's not going to make subs. It's just becoming ultra defensive when one mistake can ultimately lead to a goal. So I think that is my big knock on Heath, is time after time this has come back to bite us. And it's like, one goal is not a good lead, right? If you want to become ultra defensive after maybe 3-goal lead, cool, like that's fine. But one goal is just not going to work.
yeah, no, that's all. I mean, and then even you're still pushing it, I think, with even being two up. I mean, knowing from, experience, you look at, I think, we had the Colorado game, the first one this season, point to the, conference final. So now it's my turn to say why Heath needs to stay. Like I said, this was really, I just really didn't know, and kind of went with, okay. My first one was, he's experienced. I mean, kind of like all managers, he's experienced and he knows what he's doing. You look at kind of the 3-year, his 3-year plan, and look where that got us. And that's kind of, how it is with how we got, our first year. It was like, I think we didn't even have a designated player in our first MLS season, which was, I mean, that was quite something. And then it's like, oh, the first, second season, we kind of, brought in Darwin, and, kind of, got our attack ticking. And then, our third season, that's kind of, we brought in our defense, with Iko Para and Manone. And I think that's definitely something to look positive. And I think to a point, like, look at where he's gotten us this far. But kind of to throw in criticism, it's like, but can he deliver that final product? Can he deliver us trophy? I know, like, we were a few minutes away from going to MLS Cup. You look at, he led us to the US Open Cup final down in Atlanta. That's one of the reasons. Another one is kind of being, he kind of far as going back to his playing days, he famously played for Everton, and under the 80 in the 80s during Howard Kendall, and during was part of that team, and kind of going back, kind of there was almost kind of in the beginning that kind of Heath, or no, Kendall wasn't really performing well, but then they kind of still kept the faith, and they ended up going on, and then the whole thing, and just everything, and I mean, you know how it is. Another one that I had is I think he says this every single season is the depth that we have, and honestly, like, you look at our depth going from season to season, it was really good. You look at the likes of, I mean, you can consider, I mean, Will Trapp almost, I think the getting, Will Trapp as, the Aussie replacement, quote unquote. Fragapane isn't, that Kevin Molino, I mean, he does, I mean, he still has the, the good chemistry with Reynoso, but he doesn't have the, you know, kind of like a game changer, like Molino and Reynoso, and look at the chemistry, and especially in the playoffs. But I mean, if I could go back to that, I mean, and it's just sad. And then speaking of Molino, it's just sad to see him. Oh, he goes to Columbus, and he ends up tearing his ACL again. That's just, I mean, really, sad to see. And I think, and then you look at kind of what you look at what he did with kind of Orlando, and when he came over, kind of his first team that he managed in the US was in Austin, and then they ended up moving to Orlando, and basically have the best start to any newly founded team in the history of American soccer. And I think he's definitely a guy who, like, okay, he can get the program up and running, but like I said, can he do, like, I know I'm kind of like, can he deliver the final product really? Uh, well, another one is he knows how to get the best out of his players. Like something that I've said is is Lude better at striker or at right, because it's like you bring in somebody like Unu for as a DP for 3.5 million, and you kind of had that time where you played Lude at striker while you have your designated player. And yeah, I know that's kind of a criticism, and I guess it can kind of depend on the tactics and how he wants to play. And then my final one is he knows he knows somewhat where our problems are, and he usually addresses them, and will be blunt, be honest and blunt about it, and tell the players, hey, you did this and this wrong, and you need to watch where you're going. And I mean, that's really all the reasons I could really come up of why, Heath deserves to stay in the job. I mean, I was personally kind of like, beginning of the season, I was like, he needs to go. But then, as the season went on, kind of like, give him a chance. But now I'm kind of like, maybe we should think about getting rid of Heath. But you also have to think of, like, if we get rid of him,
Who
yeah,
who can we get?
yeah, who can we get? I mean, that's really you want a good manager, and I don't really like as far as the managers that are currently out. Like, there's really no chance you could get a big name player or a big name manager. I mean, really, but I mean that's frankly where I am at right now. So
I I like Adrian. I like him as I met Adrian Heath actually this summer.
yeah,
Um,
yep.
I met him at a bar. It was I was there at Brit's Pub. Shout out Brit. Watching the opening game for England in the Euros, and Adrian Heath just walked by with his son. He stopped and he just started talking to us. He was like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" Like, yeah, no, I think he's a good person. I agree with you. Who else could we get? Because not a lot of big name managers want to come coach in the MLS. And then obviously, if there's an opening in an LA or a Miami, they're going to choose that over Minnesota any day. That's a fact. And so I think that with that, and if we did bring in a new manager, there's going to be that adjustment period, right? And will that work, right? Will this lead to another season where we're just mediocre? And will that hinder our long-term success, or will having Heath be in, stay in the job, hinder our long-term success? I just think that we need to stick with a plan. Be like, all right, we're fully behind Heath for like another season or two, or we got to get rid of him now. I think and the atmosphere of, is he going to be in a job? Is he not going to be in a job? Can really hurt a locker room. You've seen that through all sports. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's really, and I know I met Heath when they did the Alexi Lawless podcast at Allianz Field, which I got to ask a question on it, and I am talking to Heath, and funny enough, it's like, oh, when I was talking to him, it's like, oh, I just basically talked about Everton because knowing them, in Everton, and then I had one of my friends who lives over in England is an Everton supporter. He came over and came to the Colorado game, the first season at Allianz Field, and he actually went down to Atlanta for the U.S. Open Cup final. And the day of the final, he was just walking down the streets of Atlanta, and he sees somebody with a Minnesota jersey on, and he's like, oh, he's gonna say, oh, nice, nice shirt, and then he looks and is like, oh, it's Inchy. And he's like, so he went and talked, and yeah, no, that was definitely, I'm hoping Minnesota make up their mind with what's happening, and if they're fully behind Heath, or maybe move on. So that's going to do a video. Make sure you go over to Die3G, subscribe, like the video, comment, and share. And we will see you all in the next video.